Let's meet in order. Pledge of allegiance.
Getting there.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, you're okay.
They do it on others.
They?
They did everything.
I told you both.
Roll call, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Present.
Darcy McSwain,
Present.
Paul Jenderski is absent, Edgar Titoff,
Present.
Michael Nesbitt,
Present.
Kathy Harris,
Present.
and Troy Freed is absent.
Approval adjustments to the agenda.
I'd like to add letter J, T-ball field backstop and baseline fencing.
Say that for me one more time.
T-ball field, backstop, and baseline fencing.
I'll make a motion to make the adjustments to the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Any announcements, public comment? Yes, sir, come on up.
Good evening, council. My name is Terry Brown. I've got a couple questions this evening and some statements. First question I have to the council, do you, council, run under a code of conduct or a book of disciplines? Or what do you run under? Do you have some kind of rules or regulations on how you conduct yourselves? Well, if you don't have it, I've got it for you. I'll give each one of these a copy. Last May, you people this council came through with a resolution 23-10. And in this, gives you 10 ways you're supposed to conduct yourselves in meetings with this public. The minutes there are from the May meeting. I've got it highlighted where you've all voted for this resolution. The resolution is attached to it. I have copies here, if anybody would like copies of this resolution. Pardon me?
My husband, I have one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyways, this pertaining tonight is what happened last month at the meeting. And I think a lot of these rules here were violated last month by this council. It was a very poor showing for this council. I was embarrassed what happened, and I hope you were too. I wished Mr. Paul would be here tonight, Jenderski, because this directly, I've addressed him directly. The way he conducted this interview to this young lady here in the back, she was bullied terribly. And I congratulate you, Mike, for how you handled yourself. I believe that you were called a liar, she was called a liar. The F word was used in this meeting by Paul. I'm not attacking him because he's not here. I'd say the same thing to him if he was here. You people are the reception of this right now. This man is just like Eric Mays in Flint. It was out of control. If you ever knew Eric Mays in Flint, the council, look at his YouTube and see what it was. They escorted him out many times, handcuffed him, took him out. Then he suspended him for 6 months for this kind of actions. This board better get control of that man right there. And this board better get control of what's going on around here. As far as I'm concerned, you ought to have, our police chief ought to, and it's not telling him what to do, I think we need an officer here in uniform at every one of these meetings. Because that was totally out of control. The safety for these people in here, our wives, everybody else, out of control. And you ought to be afraid of it. Totally out of control. And you don't like, I maybe get a little loud, but I'm so upset at what happened. The whole month I've been waiting to come here. This is totally uncalled for. And again, give you credit. Whether it's you, Ed, or who, you gotta get control. This is not correct, not at all. This interview process was poor. You need to adopt a process where you ask the same questions to every individual. If it's 6 questions, 7 questions, you don't have an agenda where you ask a question and you ask a different question. The same questions ought to be asked. If you've got to facilitate somebody here to ask the questions, whether it's Ed or somebody that has a better voice, calmer voice, without screaming at somebody and calling them liars, that was poor. And I don't think anybody who's on this board will disagree with me. And any of you who were here last month would disagree with me. So I don't have any horses in this race, but that was poor. So, I think you need to get a resolution for the process for interviewing. In no way should 2 people, candidates both sitting here for one of the one being interviewed. One candidate should have left. You interview one, and then the other one leaves, so that person doesn't have the same question, know what they're gonna ask when they get up there. This young lady told you all the things she'd done for this town, and then you shut the door on her. She asked for one thing from you folks, to be a part of this team, and you shut the door. Do you want them to be gophers, go out and do the work for us, but we can't be a part of the team? That's not right. That's not right. Where are you gonna, there's gotta be a carrot at the end of this for somebody. And it didn't happen. There was a lot of political agendas here last month, and it was wrong, folks. You didn't evaluate what was put in front of you. You all knew it was gonna happen before it happened. And if this doesn't get control, then we need to do like they did in Flint. Maybe we need to get TV5 standing in the back here taking pictures about them. That's what's gonna do to calm this group down, then that's what we gotta do. We'll get TV5 here. And I'm not making any threats, but there are other ways to get around it. If you guys can't fix it, we can't get anything done this way, guys. It's not working.
It'll be handled.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I saw a couple hands.
You go ahead. I'll wait.
Mark Westlock, 1260 North Main. I want to compliment the village on the cleanup on 424 East North Street. Looks beautiful. It was a blighted house, and it's a clean lot. And good job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my name's Regina. I know most of you. I don't think I know you. I've had the pleasure to serve as the township clerk for the last 5 years, and I'm planning to do more. I got several phone calls after the meeting last time, and there are some legalities to it that I think are not clear. I do have a nominating petition from Jenny, and she will be on the ballot, and she has every right. When she contacted me about getting the paperwork, we discussed, and I contacted Bureau of Elections to see if there was any conflict. And at the village level, there is not. She has every legal right to be on this council. I was not here, I tried to listen to it, and I did get a lot of feedback about it, only because I do elections, and it did pertain to that. As the other gentleman said, there are some issues with Paul's behavior. There's a very fine line between election intimidation and freedom of speech. And I believe he crossed that line. I didn't know what I should do, so the Bureau did tell me I should come to this board and speak to everyone. If there are any questions about legalities to elections, I'd be happy to answer them. Anybody can get a hold of me. Eddie has my number, Don has our number, he's my supervisor at the township, so. The village, just some information, the village and the school board does not need petitions turned in until in July, okay? Everything for the township that is partisan, where you have to declare a party, has to be in this month by the 23rd. But I got Kathy's today, so. One of the things that the Bureau of Elections brought up was also Mr. Mays. Who brought that up? You did. And that is part of the problem. You can't sit on a board and tell someone else that they don't deserve a seat on that board unless you have done your research and you know that to be fact. So I contacted Paul, and he got mad, hung up on me, and then texted me that this was none of my business. You can't get on a ballot without me. You can't bypass me and go to the county, you can't, there's no way, it is my business. This is the one time that it falls to me. I do agree with what this gentleman said, that this behavior, we have a meeting every month too. And I do know that there are problems and there's issues, but in the long run, there could have been somebody sitting in this room who wanted to open a business here in one of our empty buildings. Or a family who wanted to move here. And this is what they saw. And I don't think that's okay. Not only do I serve as the township clerk, but I live in the village. So I was embarrassed just from what I heard. And again, I didn't see it, but I did get a lot of the same story from a lot of people. I just think it's embarrassing, and we shouldn't allow it. And Mike, I too am impressed that you controlled yourself so well from what I hear. Jenny is more than qualified than most people to do a job. That doesn't mean anybody else isn't, but I know Jenny well enough to know that her heart is in this community. So to make her that upset hurts my heart that we would do that. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions or wants nominating petitions or anybody else, just reach out to the township office and they'll get a hold of me, or I'll be in the office. Most of you have my number, so just holler at me. Okay?
Thank you.
Can you answer a question for me?
Yes. Maybe. If I can't, I know where to get the answer.
If this happens in the future, what exactly can we do? Because I
According
called the
to-
Michigan Municipal League, and they told me all I could do was either do a recall vote on him, or, the governor has to do it. And
As
it's-
far as I know, it is very much like the Genesee County issues or the Flint City issues with Mr. Mays. You can consistently have him removed from the meeting, and escorted out. And
Is that something that's something that Mr. Titoff would have to ask? me
That
to do?
is correct.
We
That
discussed
would
that
fall
already
to
once
him.
before about that, after we discussed what we would do next time, cause it was all new to me and him. We made eye contact at one point, but again, I didn't know what he was thinking or what he wanted, but we got it figured out if it has happened again.
Well, I know Paul's gonna hear this, but you cannot behave this way. I can't imagine behaving this way in any setting, much less in front of your community. I can't believe you wouldn't be embarrassed by that. So, that is what they told me, that you could continuously have them escorted out. You can do a roll call, what did you call it?
Recall.
A recall petition. There are a lot of rules to it. He's on the board for 2 more years without it. I know I have been told that you can't do a recall in someone's last year in a seat.
Really?
Yes, which would be, his last year would begin next year. But yeah, there has to be a level of decorum. If there are issues and you have questions, again, get a hold of me. I don't mind calling Bureau of Elections. That's what they're there for. They know the rules.
Maybe that's where I should have called instead of the Michigan Municipal League.
I don't know that you can, because you don't
Okay.
run your own elections. I mean, I don't know that you can't.
Okay.
But, I know that we have different connections because I run elections.
Mhm.
So, I'll give you their number, you can reach out to them if you want to, or I'm happy to do
Well, I
it
don't
for
mind
you.
contacting you either. if
Yeah, I don't,
have to.
any way you wanna do
Hopefully
it, I don't care if we
wouldn't
sit in
have
the
to,
same room and do it. I wasn't upset until he hung up on me and told me it was not my business. Because I live here too, even if I weren't the clerk,
Mhm.
I'm not a quiet, meek person. to behave that way is just,
I totally
I have a
agree.
yeah, I don't even have a
I have a
good word.
question. You spoke in the beginning, you brought up the rules about it being, intimidation to whatever it may be, and that was across the line. What line does that mean? Is that like, is it
There,
like illegally cross the line in terms of it's gonna throw that vote out? I mean, what does that consist of?
I wasn't here for the meeting, everything I had was secondhand, and I had to present it that way. And unfortunately, there was no recording, because I didn't wanna take anybody's word for anything, and I went to listen to it, but we couldn't, so that was the issue. Board of Election says there's such a fine line, which is why they couldn't do anything with Mays. He would get suspended for 3 months, in fact, he passed while he was suspended, but he was an attorney, so he kept appealing and fighting it, which he could. One of the things you have to look at is how much village budget do you wanna spend on the legalities of removing him? Or do you just wanna remove him when he can't maintain in here?
Who suspended Mays?
Yes, they did.
It said
The
he
board
did.
did, the board
The
did,
rest of the
for 3
council.
months. Yes,
I
they
was
took a
told,
vote,
I was told we couldn't do that.
It's a vote. It's a very fine line.
I
And
don't
every
know.
time they did it, he came back.
Yeah, he did. And
Well-
again, you can spend all the tax money in the world, or you can just simply, you know, if he behaves and he acts like an adult,
And I'm sorry to drag this out really, but, I feel like there's some type of discipline that needs to be done here with him,
that would be up to
so it does
your council.
not continue.
I believe you have the right to suspend him, and I will be happy to contact Bureau of Elections and find out if that's
Would you do
okay.
that? for
I know
just-
he
or-
mentioned the bylaws to me on the phone before he hung up, and I don't know if he said that you were gonna change them so that married people couldn't be on the board. I don't know. I don't know what he was alluding to.
I think
He
that-
didn't say
That's what he
it.
was alluding to, which is absolutely illegal to take a change with the legislature, not this
Right.
council.
Your bylaws cannot bypass or
State legislature.
supersede
Right.
Which
Bureau of
we fall under
Elections.
the Village Law Act
Right.
of 1893.
But I didn't get the opportunity. I just wanted to have a conversation with him and tell him what the legalities were, and that I had already contacted him and let him know. You know, and let Jenny know that she could run.
Right.
And I really didn't know this was over a vote that night, but he doesn't want her on the board, which means that when it's election time, it's gonna be the same attitude. And then if she ends up on the board, how is she gonna be treated for 2 years? So that is on all of you, and I don't know if he has to commit so many acts of misbehavior
He is
before
a-
you can.
He's publicly elected, there's very little you can do. You can do a public censure, which essentially is a slap on the wrist if that's
Right.
something they're interested in.
I believe it
I've-
comes down to every time you run into this situation, it's gonna fall on removing him.
I've been in this situation myself on previous boards, called the Attorney General's office, there's really nothing you can do other than recall.
That's pretty
Right.
much what.
What they did to Eric Mays didn't hold water, but they did it just to make a point.
Well, and the,
Something needs to be
you
done.
know, the
with
other
that
thing is
situation.
Jenny is the one who was,
Bullied.
attacked, basically. You know, I don't know how far Jenny wants to take it, but I just don't know.
The problem could be election interference if you start telling people that she can't be on the same board, which is absolutely not true and illegal.
Correct. You cannot sit on a board and tell somebody else that they cannot sit on that board also. She could run in 2 years for his seat. So that really crosses a line. You can't tell somebody they can't have your seat.
Right.
That's up to the voters.
Right.
So, other than removal, I really don't see an option.
And they changed the recall laws after Paul Scott, a Harvard graduate from Grand Blanc, was recalled after the education budget in 2011. And so they changed all the rules about how many signatures, how many days, and the wording and verbiage that has to be approved.
I'm not sure you want to even I wouldn't attack that.
Nope, it's not worth the
I
time.
wouldn't, I don't
and
want
effort.
to have to do anything. All I want him to do is act like an adult when he's here and treat people respectably, that's
Well, maybe you
all.
can just send him a message when he gets removed, he gets out of hand,
Well,
you just remove him every time he does that, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times, he just
So-
keeps getting removed.
so if our president's not gonna do that, then one of us can do
I
that?
believe your
or who else?
president is in that, mindset at this point. Ed, do you
Well,
have
it should've
anything
been
you
done a
wanna
long
say?
time ago.
No? Okay.
I had a whole month to dwell on this, so, you know,
Can I ask how you feel about this?
I.
You don't
agree.
have to respond to the public comment.
No,
This is
you
not a
don't.
town hall meeting, we
No.
have business to attend to.
You know, and I do wanna hear the people, you know, that's kinda why I let the public comment go on longer than 3 minutes,
Yeah, we do too,
you
so
know,
I get it.
I mean, we work for the people, we're elected by the people. And, yeah, it's completely unacceptable,
Okay.
but, you know, there's, of course, actions for everything and a fine line, and you've already explained all that, and
Yeah.
so have others, and,
Well, and I think repercussions, actions have consequences, and if there aren't any, then you continue the same behavior.
right.
So, that's how I see it. I do appreciate your time, and again, if you have any questions about nominating petitions or elections or any of that stuff, our vote last time, merging the precincts, went extremely well, so I was glad of that. So that's all I had.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Regina.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regina.
I have a statement I'd like to make now. Butch Smith,
Can you come up to the podium, please?
I'll come up to the podium.
Thank you.
I was at the meeting, and I don't agree with what happened here, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the man sitting in the middle right there should have stopped it because both sides were out of control. Not just Paul. Paul was bad, and he did not help matters by standing up, yelling over you. You should have stood up and took care of the whole situation
Nobody
instead
got-
of letting them go the way they did. It would not have escalated that far to start with.
Nobody got in a fight?
No, but it was close. There was a lot of screaming and hollering that didn't have to go
Do
on.
you think either one was gonna get through me?
Well, you could have stood up and told them both to shut up.
Well,
That's what I'm getting
It
at.
got to that point, I mean,
Yeah, but how long did it take?
well,
It took 10 minutes or better before anybody said anything, and I think that was ridiculous.
I'll be honest, who would expect that to happen? That has to throw you.
well, I mean, for most of us, that was a first, you know? I mean,
Exactly,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. It has to shock
But
you.
it sounds to me like right now that this place is really biased on one person. You, him, several of you in here, and you gotta give the man a chance. This is his first time in office. And somebody should sit down with him and explain to him, you gotta hold your temper down.
I think he went to classes and what has been, this has been discussed.
This whole resolution was written because of everything that transpired up until May. He was out of control when he first got here, and this is why you guys wrote this. That's why you wrote it in May. It went 3 or 4 months, he was out of control that time, and you wrote this. And it got better for a short period of time, and now it's back out again. That's why you wrote this. That's why it was in May. You gave it 4 months.
Spicer engineer report, please.
Good evening. I believe everyone should have received a copy of our report, and I apologize, I sent out the wrong documents to put in your packet, so I handed out new ones. Just a quick update on phase one. They were out pouring sidewalk and driveways this week. I drove through, everything looks pretty good. I think Air Construction's plan is to wrap up. I think I heard we're supposed to get a couple inches of rain tomorrow, so probably next week they'll get going on topsoil. And then we'll try and get a date for paving and get that project wrapped up. The drinking water asset management plan, we're finalizing the report. I talked to John Kazar today. He's gonna get the rate stuff over, compile all that, and our goal is to have that to the village to review by mid-May, beginning of June, as it's due in July. So, that's coming together pretty well. I think the big thing we gotta talk about today is the congressional funding the village was allotted through the federal government, last month that we were made aware of. There was actually quite a bit of progress made this last month with, you know, what we've gotta do and how we need to move forward. Hart received a call from USDA. It sounds like the feds have to get the money to the village and they're gonna use the USDA Rural Development Program. Not a problem, there's an application, we've gotta do and kinda go through some of the hoops with USDA, but, it's one of those things where the money's there, it's just, we gotta get it, and to get it, we gotta complete their application process, which shouldn't be an issue. We sat down with Hart and Don and figured out what areas we wanted to target with this project. Again, it's $1 million with a 25% match, so we're looking at right around a $1.25 million job. We're a little bit over right now to see where bid prices end up when we actually do get the project designed and put together. But, you know, one of the primary areas we wanted to target was the East Belt. It's a 4-inch cast iron water main, dead end, you know, as far as fire flows go, and then get into the age and condition of the cast iron, it is kind of that next segment to be replaced, and, you know, everything will be good on East Bell then. We looked at some areas, on the other side of the river that the village had issues with this winter, specifically the Cherry and Maple area. That's included in the project. If you look at the map, the Cherry area is actually where we're potentially gonna do the next river crossing in one of the next projects, so kind of sets the village up for, that capital project. And then we added one more segment of Clinton on there to pick up where we left off on phase one, again, just to kind of maximize the funding. These areas should target the lead and galvanized services that we have identified, within the drinking water asset management grant, and additionally, the work from the village they've put into it. So, right now, kind of what we're looking at, we've got a meeting scheduled Monday with RD to figure out what we have to do for that process and get the ball rolling with that, cause I think that's gonna take a little bit of time. You know, and the funding becomes available next June, correct, Hart? So, right now we're shooting to have a project put together, you know, to bid next spring. So as soon as the funding's available, we can start moving forward with it. I think, you know, again, when you look at where the village was at 5-6 years ago with cast iron water main, and what the first phase, the Fulton and Hosmer, and the improvements we made there, and then you look at what phase one did, and you look at what this project's now gonna do in leading up to the next capital project, you know, it's definitely, you know, removing it from the system, and people should be able to see that, you know, as we continue to complete the projects, so. Other than that, I don't, does anyone have any questions on this?
Is the East Bell project gonna help with flooding at all?
Flooding, no. I mean, if there's an issue with storm sewer, you know, when we dig through it or dig under it with the water main, we can look to address it there and make sure we address it in the design, but specifically storm sewer improvements, it's not addressing any of those. You know, and I would say the big thing that the village will notice is different with this project compared to phase one is, you know, we don't have that $500,000 worth of road work in this project. You know, that we received the category B grant with phase one. You know, this project's gonna replace the water and specifically target water. You know, there will be some sidewalk, some street where we go through, but it's not gonna be as extensive as, phase one was, so.
But the goal being, if we can do this in 2025 and 2026, we get the Safe Routes grant. Hypothetically, we could replace the entire road of Maple, the entire road of Walnut, and both sides of sidewalk. So you have 23, 24, 25, 26 progress moving forward, cleaning up lines, getting rid of lead, galvanized service lines, cleaning up mains at the same time, fixing roads and sidewalks. And truthfully, most of it with grant funds, hopefully.
I don't know if anyone, you know, the TMF grant, they're still working through, they're starting to allocate funding. We haven't heard an exact how far it's gonna go. I know St. Charles was not in the first round, which we expected because we received the drinking water asset management grant, but we'll keep everyone in the loop as we hear more on that. I think that's all. Any questions, comments? Public, bear with us as we wrap up phase one. That's the big one.
So, you guys are doing
It's
great.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle,
Mitchell.
thanks Mitch.
Council minutes approval for March 13th of 2024.
I make a motion, we approve the March 13th, 2024 council minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Commission and committee reports. DDA for April 5th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the Downtown Development Authority from April 5th, 2024.
No second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Parks and Recreation Committee, March 20th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the Park and Recreation Committee of March 20th, 2024.
I'll second.
Well-
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Planning Commission for March 20th, 2024.
Make a motion, we accept the planning commission minutes of March 21st, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Communications. Any discussion on this?
Not for me.
Maybe we'll be in it one day. Yeah, I think we should, all this water, we've done all this, I think someday we're gonna,
We were in
about the water?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Last year.
Is it a
Last
big
year.
write-up?
It was a long time ago. Little write-up from
Like a-
Spicer. We're
Little-
working on another one to
Okay.
submit the full project.
You
That
guys
was more
deserve
about
it.
We keep saying when we wrap up phase one, how we go further, so
Well, you deserve to be in it.
never
so.
ends.
Deadline's May 17th.
Yep.
Payment of claims?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills for the month of March, the amount of $124,768.46.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Jamie second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? New business. Item A, budget amendment resolution 24-6.
Just cleaning up bills between approving the budget and the end of the month. So we're officially closing out last year. Mostly DDA things.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution 24-6 to amend the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Should be money.
Okay.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski's absent, Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
and Troy Freed is absent.
Item B, Saginaw future contract and report.
This is just money, a contract for Saginaw Future on behalf of the village to help us with things. As you recall or may recall, I cut them down from $1,000 to $500 because I didn't think the services were being rendered properly. They come out once a year now and are gonna be working on some things with us. Set up meetings with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation with Mr. Frost downtown and see what kind of rehabilitation grants we can get for his properties. Looking at ways to fill the boat works, working on redevelopment ready communities. What else are we working on? Some environmental things, some historical preservation, so I think we'll we'll see more benefit this year in the next couple of years than we have in years past. They are really working hard and, especially on the boat works building, so a lot of good things happening, a lot of positives that should be spilling our way from the Hemlock Richland Township area. I know there's gonna be a need for a lot of housing, I don't know how we fit into that, but, we should be able to increase our property base. I think Hemlock has, 400 job openings right now. In the future, there's another company potentially going in with a $190 million investment. High-paying entry-level jobs that will probably poach a lot of people here, but also give people a bedroom community to stay, pay property taxes, pay water bills, and go to work. So a lot of big things happening there that we're going to try to piggyback off on and get our boat works filled.
I was gonna ask you just what they've done for us, cause I read this report and it's like, okay.
Have they done anything since our
St. Charles and
last year we,
A lot of townships up, some for Michigan Pallet, a lot of little things, nothing too big, but we're gonna need them in, I hope, in the very near future. Especially in the realm of maybe potential tax abatements, things of that nature. And if you look in the middle of that, it kind of shows you where we stand, and obviously, communities that, get more services or, pay more, and so I think we're at a level that is fair enough, but at the same time, we need to see something as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement of services for the Saginaw future contract.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
We need a roll call. Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski's absent, Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
yes,
And Troy Freed is absent.
Item C, beautification day proclamation.
Just a proclamation supporting the 50th anniversary of Beautification Day in the Village of St. Charles. I then used this to our application for Tree City USA. It's currently in review. They need both of these documents signed by you, so I can upload them and get our approval, which then turns into grants. I think we received $9,000 in the last year for trees that we don't have to pay for, which is the whole premise, is to go after grant money so the village doesn't have to pay for this stuff. So, great event, May 17th, 50th anniversary. Doug Hallam, they had a meeting last Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. at the high school. I've always spoken with Lori Orr. We're working on little things to make things better and nicer, and what plants are gonna go where, and obviously the DDA is doing their part with the flowering pots. Jay Gardner was in a couple days ago looking at other ways that we can potentially partner with the DDA, or where we can replace some old shaggy pots with newer, nicer ones, and what flowers gonna go where, and what to do in front of the mercantile, and who's gonna water, and a lot of things like that.
What time does it usually start?
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, and it goes all day or just for a couple
The
hours?
seniors leave
Till
about
lunchtime.
11:30.
Till like noon at
Yeah.
latest.
Noon at the latest.
So if you will sign these and get them to me today, would be great. I'd address them one at a time if you were to approve or support.
I make a motion to support the official 50th anniversary proclamation of the Beautification Day on May 17th, 2024.
I will second that.
Roll call vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'll make a motion, we accept the official proclamation for Tree City USA.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That was for the Arbor Day one, right?
Yes.
Item E, police vehicles.
We got a build date for the truck, was it June 3rd?
Yeah, I got back down to June 3rd, and that's because the way it was explained to me is,
So
instead of doing one here and one here and one here, they're gonna do them all at once, get them all lined up for the ones that are ordered. He
So-
said it's typical.
as part of that process, we discussed trade-in value for the Crown Vic and the Taurus and what we're gonna do with them. We got the numbers back this week. For the Taurus, they're offering 4,500, and for the Crown Vic, 1,000. So obviously, they're gonna try to make a buck off of them. Maybe we should just go public auction, close bid, open them next month in this meeting. Put the information, years, mileage, everything out front like we did for the Tahoe that the DPW truck replaced. Your call, but maybe, and we could set the baseline of those numbers. Bid must be over, maybe it's 1,005, but, I mean, that's an idea, up for your decision. Or we could trade them in straight up and take, 5,500 off the total price. And I will say that anything that comes in, if you went silent auction, is going towards the payment of the truck. Just to be clear.
I think we
Try
should
to
just,
get as much as we
yeah,
can.
get the money here and.
You okay with setting it, silent auction, opening date here? We can do it as part of old business.
Yep.
Unveiling here, announcing here, approval here. Normally, the previous one, we got rid of the Tahoe, I recorded it all live so that anybody had questions or concerns, it was recorded and you could see the timestamp and all that. I think I even held up a newspaper with the date in it, but. That's what we'll do then, with your approval or of
I'll make a
motion.
motion that we allow Art to do the silent auction, sell both the vehicles and
I'll second that.
an amount.
You need a roll call for that one?
We better just to be safe.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski's absent, Edgar Tito,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
and Troy Frida's absent.
And just to further bring, validity, we do have legal opinions on how best to do this, so that we're following all rules and regulations of the state of Michigan in doing so.
Item F, water supply, water system improvements 2025.
So when I applied for the grant funding from the federal government, the original amount was $3.3 million with this 25% match. In negotiations between Senate and the House, they lowered the amount to $1 million. So, as phase one is at 92% finished, I asked if we could use the funds towards the payment, of the bond payments for phase one. They said, nope, it has to be a new project. Or, don't say new, a continuation of project. I said new, and they said, ooh, that's not what you applied under. I said, whoa, I meant continuation of phase 1.5-ish. And so this is a continuation, does all the same process as we went through on phase one, just continues the circle and area as Mitchell said. We're gonna try to get as much bang for our buck. There is a 25% match, which is $250,000, which we could do roads on that. We could use, streets, sidewalks. The first thing that they want us to do is get an archaeological study. They're gonna try to use, their ways of doing it. We have to follow their rules, which, you read in the review, local government's responsible for protecting archaeological sites. And I asked them if Dr. Jones was available, or how does this go about, but they have rules and regulations that they follow. We are going to try to do as much positive work here with as little, and Spicer has a ton of experience in RD, working with them, the same people. We're gonna figure out a way to not waste any funds, but at the same time follow all the rules that are required. So this is the continuation of phase one. We'll call it 1.5. It's not exactly phase two. I think phase two was about 2.5 million. So this gets us across the river on the other side of town, and like I said, if this can go into safe routes, then we can look at phase two over here. If we get the 600 or 500,000 to go after more lead and galvanized service lines, so we can know exactly where they are, so then we can take care of that section. So it's all about having it done, so you never have to, in my lifetime, worry about what's underneath the roads. Then you can worry about the fun things, like what to buy and where to replace roads and who needs what. So
As far as the archaeological stuff, doesn't Spicer kind of do that anyways? Haven't they done that in the past?
It's kind of like a sub that runs through the grant that works for the
I mean,
village.
didn't you guys find some beer bottles or something along the way?
We weren't thinking of anything.
TPW that
I
we-
think the mountains are still blue on those.
Yeah.
Something about a brewery used to be here a long time ago or something, or I don't know.
Eric had a couple employees that were really into that. They were,
He was out there with the metal detector every day.
they were archaeologists on this land.
That's what I'm saying, to kind of like,
They found some neat stuff.
combine one with the other.
Matt Lance.
Good on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the water system improvements 2025.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call vote?
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski's absent, Edgar Tito,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
and Troy Frida's absent.
I will say that the rural development team was surprised by our project to come on their desk. Normally they have a full application they have to review and go through all these points and a ton of meetings, and poof, there we are, approved for $1 million. and they don't have really a say other than how we follow their rules. So it was a nice feeling.
Yeah, great job for you, I'm telling you. Art, you're doing this, a great job, I don't think we give you enough credit. Like you're something.
Yeah, I just hope the people realize how big these improvements really are.
Yes,
They
they're
are
huge, yeah. That money is huge.
I know
Well,
you-
I think we're lucky not only to have her, but we're lucky to have guys like Mitch,
Yep, Mitch,
Spicer Engineering,
yep.
and our DPW, and you guys have worked hard.
Eric was great to work with. and
Their
first thing.
construction did a
Yeah.
tremendous
Yeah,
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the size of this project, it went pretty smooth. I mean, you always have issues, but it said it's not something you can see, but this is really huge for the village of St. Charles, setting them up for the future.
Well, that's again why I said we need to apply for some, we need recognition for this. That's my feeling.
Huge project.
But as part of the Saginaw Future is when they came out here and I started telling them everything that we've done in the last year and a half, they're like,
What?
wow. So they're gonna probably work on some of the publicity side of things and start putting it out through their avenues as well. So, from the playscape to the water infrastructure to the kayak launch to the water tower to some of the other things. So
Item G, reappointments.
new fiscal year, new terms. So just these are the people that are still interested in serving on these committees.
Do we need a vote on each one separately?
Hmm,
You could blanket it. Or you can go by committee.
I'll make a motion that we accept all the reappointments.
Second.
Even Steve Harris?
Okay, abstain on that one.
You better roll call and abstain, and maybe we break them down and abstain. Or you can put it in the minutes as abstaining on that. Still got 4.
We roll call on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item H, tree removal quotes.
526 West Hosmer has a root uprooting the sidewalk. It is a rather large heave, if you will, that we would like to, it's in the right of way, it's our responsibility. It needs to get done, so we thought we would get multiple quotes to increase the value and lower the price. So here are the 3 quotes you have.
There's
1900,
three, right?
1900, 1975, and 2200.
Is there one from Monk?
Monk, you have
That's
one
what I'm
from
missing.
Britt Hines, Monk's Tree Service, and Thurston Logging. They were on the 2 of them were on the desk. One of them we received yesterday, one Monday.
And I'm assuming we would want this stump removed, correct?
And upgrading stuff.
Yeah,
Well, Hines
Some of
is-
it's extra.
Yes. some-
yeah, some of it's extra, but yeah.
You want the low bid with the stump grill.
I'll make a motion that we have Thurston in the removal.
I'll support.
Roll call on that one?
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski is absent, Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
and Troy Freed is absent.
Item I, hometown days.
Hometown Days are in their 5th year. Looking to do it on Sunday, September 15th. The reason for Sunday is to avoid fall sports that happen on Saturdays, whether it's youth, soccer, football, volleyball, fall weddings, people camping. Didn't work well for attendance, and then local homecomings on Saturdays, so people are going to be getting their nails done, hair done, everything did. So, I love it. So they've had positive response from vendors and visitors, and they'd love to kind of use the boulevards that day with your blessing. Carrie, if you have any questions, Carrie is in attendance. You have the information for vendor agreement, and I know I've seen all of you, I think, at one point at the event. So.
I'll make a motion to run hometown days, September 15th, 2024 at 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item J, T-ball field and backstop fencing.
As you read the parks minutes, they were discussing fencing to kind of help out the T-ball field. They were looking for other quotes. The companies they reached out to said they weren't prepared to do commercial fencing, nor would they be able to do it this summer. Sullivan reached out on Monday, said that if approved, he can start next week. So I kind of expedited it and brought it to you to say that it's a great partnership. The American Legion will be donating $1,000. The Little League will be adding $1,000. The Fordney Club is adding $800, and then we would only be required to pay $1,000 of it. Which again, it is our park. It is a great partnership. When it's nice to have other people contributing. I know for many years Diane Dennis complained that we were sole, owners and payers of the park, but it is a public park and it is our responsibility. We do now get donations from Brant and St. Charles Township, and as a thank you to help, pay for and upkeep. So this is a great public-private partnership to get this done next week. So another amenity in the park for the T-ball. They will leave the outfield open. They said 1 in every 15 kids can go yabo, not very often. And when they did the snow fencing, it was hard to weed whack around, and the balls would get caught in the tall grass, and the kids couldn't find it, so they're going to leave that open and mow it down. And they don't want to interfere with the disc golf, of course. So. And I thank you to Jay Gardner and Josh Bars, who are part of those groups, those civic organizations who got the money approved on their end.
So this is metal fencing, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm on the park committee, so I just assumed.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote from Sullivan Fence.
Second.
Roll call.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski is absent, Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
and Troy Freed is absent.
Department reports, DPW.
March 2024 report, we pumped 3.9 million gallons of water. It's about 126,000 gallons a day. Sent in all of our annual reports to Eagle. We did abandon an 1.5-inch water line on North Main. Had 4 customers on it. So that's getting rid of another little piece of our older infrastructure, which has been problematic in the past, so. And the sewer, we pumped 7.4 million gallons, which is about 239,000 gallons a day. We did isolate pond number 2 for discharge in May. Streets, just routine patching, plowing salt 2 times, hopefully that's the last of the year. All the equipment, the portable generators, we did service all them, and normal maintenance, in the park. We got up all the Hart's new signs, and then we got another one today, so there'll be one more coming, and then mulch and leaves, so. And things are breaking loose, it's 20 degrees last week, and now it's 70, so.
Mhm.
So, any questions?
Is isolate pond number 2 for discharge, what,
The lagoons, you have to isolate them for at minimum 2 weeks and then sample them.
oh,
And if they pass, then you can discharge.
okay.
So they have to be isolated for a minimum of 2 weeks and pass a sample. It's that time of year.
Did we get a generator?
Police department report.
Good evening. Start with the schedule. I think it's the second month in a row here we've gotten a good schedule going where I've gotten every Friday and Saturday night covered, which is what we're striving for, obviously. We'll get better, in the future here. We had 46 calls for service, 26 resulted in reports. Nothing major on reports. The one felony flea and elude that you'll see on the second page, page 2, was when I had Curtis with me, so we got some experience on that. Everything turned out fine, nobody got hurt, he just ran into the house on us before we get up to him. We knew who he was, went back to the gas station, got the video footage. Did all that good stuff, and then when they finally caught up to him, they got him with something else, so they actually added a second charge on it, so that worked out pretty good in the end. A lot of the general assist, the miscellaneous general assist, you'll see it has 110 West Spruce. Those are all the gun permits that I've been doing, and it's been, last month was pretty busy for gun permits. This month obviously hasn't been too much yet, but you know, it's gonna happen. People are gonna start getting their tax money back, and that's kind of what they do. Happens every year. But it's going fine. I've got back in the swing of it, got the hang of it. Only takes me about 15 minutes and they're out here. Unless Lucy's not here. Because we did have one coming one day to do it and she wasn't here and she's our only notary, so I think we're working.
We're gonna get Marguerite notarized as well, so that there's always somebody here that can do it. And it's 15 minutes, I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's tops.
It's like 10 minutes in and out, and they're back to Thurston's buying guns.
As I said earlier, the truck build got pushed back. It's gonna happen. But we'll just get it when we get it, it's all you can do, you can wait. The old Explorer had to go to the shop. We had some lights on it and it was underpowered. Took them a couple times to figure it out. They said they had it done, fixed a couple things, we went and picked it up. Well, Ethan and Curtis went and picked it up and Ethan called me and he said, it's not fixed. I said, well then don't drive it off. So he left it there. Mechanic looked at it and it turns out it had 2 crammed full catalytic converters, which is why it was underpowered and was why it sounded loud. It's gonna happen. It happens some police vehicles because they idle a lot. And especially in our towns, outside of a lot of the idling we have, we don't have high speeds, which blows that stuff out. It just happens. It's a product of what it is. So it's gonna cost a little bit. Talked with Hart about it. We discussed the things on it, but it is what it is. I mean, you gotta maintain them. It's gonna happen. So.
What was the trading value on that one? 4,500?
4,500.
Another.
You know, and it's something that I wanna use for Michelle. If we turn that to the SRO vehicle, that'll last her for years just driving it a mile back and forth to school. Especially with the money we put in it since I've gotten here. That car's gonna go forever now. Which is fine. I mean, it's not rusted out. There's not a lot of damage done to it, other than it's just routine maintenance, and it happens. It happens in police vehicles. We're gonna have it. It's just that one, we let go for a little bit. You know, you don't take it in when the light turns on, or I don't know about it. You don't tell me the light's on, and then you take it in, and it's 10 things. So, in terms of the FTO status with Curtis, I knew it was gonna happen. Ethan and I have talked. It's probably gonna go longer than what expected, and that's just simple because we can't get him on enough calls. It is what it is. We don't have the call volume for both of him and I to feel comfortable putting him on his own, or going through the final, what we call as a shadow phase, which is a 7-day phase where all he does is Ethan will just shadow him and he just says or does nothing. And if you get to that phase and you don't pass it, then it's worse than it is just getting him through a whole nother phase. And so I've talked with Ethan and I gave him the permission to branch out a little bit farther than what we normally would to go to other calls, to back up other officers, to maybe expose them to something more that we necessarily wouldn't have right away, just to get him that exposure for right now. I rode with him this week, he's riding with me, and he's doing traffic stops, he's getting a lot better than when he started, it's just, we don't have enough to get him there in the amount of time that we're given, so it's just gonna be extended a little bit. Nothing against him, it's just a product of where we're working at, so, he's getting there, slowly but surely, he'll get there. I think that's it.
Hey, Chief, is our truck a 24 or 25?
It'll be a 24.
It's 24?
Yeah, that's why we waited and ordered it in September.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Thanks, chief.
Yep.
Building inspector.
Hello, everyone. We had 5 permits issued in the month of March. 2 of those were the demolitions, the one on West North, East North, and another on Saginaw. We had 5 complaints. Of those, 2 are resolved, 2 are set for court, and the 3rd is underway. They're already working on it, and I believe that one's not gonna have to go any further. I don't think we'll need court with that. He's working on the property, so it should be taken care of. So, that's what I have. Any questions?
This list looks better than the years past.
Hey, Scott.
I've heard rumor that, what's that address on Flint Street is
632.
starting as,
I took a picture of him the other day bringing some stuff back.
He put fences up?
He closed, if you look at from the driveway, he closed that section where you could cut between the fence that we left in there, put his truck back there, but if you go down Cole Street and look behind his neighbor's backyard, you can see back in there, and it's beginning again. I mean,
there's some stuff out in front.
I watched him with the microwave go down the road before, and I think the other day Ethan was saying that they saw him with 2 refrigerators and one guy was helping him push it from behind while he was walking his bike because it was so heavy to hold. It's part of it, it's a disease for him, it's what it is, and it's a disease it's an addiction, a disease, and he's never gonna stop. He'll quit for a little bit, but he's always gonna go back to it.
No, I was told it was his livelihood.
Well, yes and no, same
Never seen
thing.
anything come off the.
Yeah, well, but I do see him, riding around here, he'll stop and he'll pick up trash.
Yes.
And he'll put it in this little buggy in the back and picks up the trash, he'll have a load of sticks and he burns the sticks. I mean, it's not all bad, but there's still that time where he's accumulating stuff, it's just, he's gotta get rid of it to the scrapyard. That's the problem, is he doesn't do that.
He's not doing that.
He did? Okay. I don't see it all the time, but as long as he's taking it in, I guess it's not gonna be an issue.
So maybe he'll bring in a little bit at a time and then get rid of it and bring in a little more.
Last public comment. Motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.